Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Nick Orlov. I'm a customer engineer at Google, and welcome to the GCP Meetup. This is episode number 37, GCP Chrome Connected. With me, I have Andrew Long. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely have some exciting topics to cover. So just to kick things off, what gets you excited about Chrome and why are we here?
Sure. So I'm also a customer engineer at Google and focused on Chrome and as well as GCP and Google Cloud. And what gets me excited is, first and foremost, I mean, all of Chrome and Chrome management, all of that runs on Google Cloud, right? That's
Yep.
Kind of what's underneath all of the layers. But the other thing is devices, and people don't know, but we have a plethora of devices here that we'll go through. But I think the talk of the town lately is this Pixelbook. And my buddy Nick here,
I'm excited.
He's excited, and it's the holiday season, and he's been asking me, and when I'm gonna get my Pixelbook and a gift, and so I'm here actually to give his Christmas gift from me, a Pixelbook. But as you guys know, and anytime you give a friend a gift or a family member a gift, that comes with some additional overhead and responsibilities on how do I use this.
I'm not gonna read their instruction manual. Come on.
Yeah, and then are the batteries included? And so I'm here to kind of kick things off and kind of show Nick, hey, how do you use a Pixelbook? And he's definitely more knowledgeable about GCP, but I'm here to kind of help him use Pixelbook and Chrome Google Cloud platform.
Yeah, this is my number one question actually. Is I love Chromebook. I love how connected you can be with Drive and Docs and Calendar, all that. Everything works so seamless. However, I'm a power user. I like to get my hands dirty and actually get into some programs and do some typing and coding and stuff like that.
Definitely.
So my question to you is, and I have to admit that I hear this quite a bit. Chromebooks work for about 95% of the job. I mean, everything in the browser works flawlessly. However, when you actually need to be a power user in that last 5%, that last remaining percentage, what do you do? I mean, what do you tell customers? How do I get to be a power user on a Pixelbook?
Oh, sure. I mean, definitely, I hear what you're saying, and there's different use cases and on why you would need certain particular apps. I know in general, Chrome, there's a significant push and effort to build progressive web apps, right? That's first and foremost. But yeah, there's definitely business applications that you may need that may not be available in the Chrome web store, for example. And so the great thing is over the last year and a half, Chrome and the Chrome platform in general. One of our sister teams we've been working closely with the Android team, right, to now enable Chromebooks with the Play Store. Right? So now you have an ecosystem of many applications that are getting better and better, right, built for Chrome devices in general. So you have like a great experience whether you're on mobile or whether you're on this Pixelbook or any other of these Chrome devices that we have in front of us.
Absolutely.
So now I think we can kind of talk through some of those things and maybe address some of the 5%, a little bit that kind of gets you over. So maybe you don't call me, odd times of the day, right? And so let's talk about some of those specific things, right? Specifically, how do you, as a Google Cloud platform user, power user, right, kind of work on a Pixelbook?
Okay, yeah, well, let's cover some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. Kind of went through it in general, but basically running through the Chrome OS and some of the devices, some of the advantages of using Chromebooks compared to some of the other offerings out there. How do you actually get your hands deep and dirty into the OS, whether it's through Cloud Shell or some of the in-house applications that have been built on the store itself. And then I'm definitely excited about a demo that you're going to be doing later that's end-to-end. How do you deploy an app, build an app, and then launch an app on our cool kiosk TV behind us? So
definitely,
it's going to be
looking
pretty
forward
awesome.
to it. So just to give folks on the line and here in the room, just a little bit background, right, on Chrome OS, right? It started in 2008. We definitely made a huge impact in EDU, right? And then I think in the last 2 years, we I think outsold MacBooks,
really?
Right? So you can look that up. You can Google that. But that just kind of shows like the progress we've made, right? And now we're talking about management. We're able to deliver so many different things to users, and students in schools, but in businesses now are able to use our cloud console. Underneath it all is Google Cloud Platform. But now we talk about like app delivery, right? Delivering different kind of apps, business apps that kind of fill that 5% gap.
Sure. And I always hear about security and how amazing Chrome is with security. So
Sure,
would you mind touching on that for a second?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it starts with the browser, right? All the sandboxing, all the different layers that the browser has started with, and kind of ensuring that every time you're using Chrome browser, you're secure, and from tab to tab, right? Those are sandbox between each other, so malware's
Cool.
Mitigated and all of those things. But all of that's kind of brought into the Chromebook. When you boot up a Chromebook, there's significant checks to make sure that this is a pristine version of the OS, right? And so I'll kind of just leave it at that. Like multiple layers of security, from encrypting data, encrypting each user's profile. And so folks in the community who are using, or developers, previously they found ways to, there's a developer mode on a Chromebook that kind of mitigates some security, but allowed them to do some of these power user things, at least some development work, and maybe install different operating system. But today we're going to talk about, how do you kind of keep that security, keep all of those protections in place, but then also do some of the things that we're talking about, where you can use Google Cloud Platform, SSH, do some development, and kind of get things going there. So I think maybe we'll kind of get right into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like applications and app delivery. That's that third column there, right? So you as a user can definitely access the Play Store and access all these apps that you use every day on your phone, right? Some of these apps are already kind of making headway and built for Chrome OS. So we'll talk about one particular app, and I'll show my screen here.
Yeah, let's get
on how this is done. So we'll talk about app delivery, right? This is the Cloud Console. Part of the Cloud Console is all these different work apps and things like that. So one particular app that we're going to talk about is Termix.
Are you sharing your screen?
Am I? Should
not yet.
Oh, sorry about that. So let me share my screen here, and then we'll get back into it. So if you're looking at my screen here, we're talking about this.
1 second.
We'll get switched over.
There we go. Okay,
there we go. So if you're looking at my screen, what I'm showing is just how an organization can deploy applications to all their users. And so the application that we're talking about today is Termix, right? This application I deployed to my device, but you as a user, if you had your own Chromebook, you can certainly log into your kind of non-work account and access a plethora of applications. Yeah. But this is more of like a managed environment, but I have Termix installed. So this is the application that I feel kind of solves some of these gaps as a GCP power user. So I have that installed, so we'll get right into it and kind of talk about it. So I'm gonna launch it right here. So if you see my screen, basically Termix allows you to have like a Linux kind of environment right within this Android application. So you get things like like a package manager and things like that. So what I did was I installed Python. You can install something like Golang as well. Oops. Install Golang, right? Just awesome. Really kind of core utilities, things that you typically do on your own system, right? So if you want to do some local development, then Golang is there. I think you can do some Node.js as well. But first and foremost, I think some of the things that you would do in the Google Cloud Shell that's nice is you can SSH into different instances, get access to the Google Cloud SDK, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the challenges is that obviously all of this is available through the Cloud Shell, through GCP, and through whatever instance that you want to SSH to or remote desktop into, but you don't always have a reliable internet connection. So for the times that you don't, this actually seems pretty incredible, where you're really unlocking the power of Golang and of these packages that you're installing, and you're able to run it all on your local Chromebook.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is once you have all of this stuff set up and applications kind of configured, you can pick up any Chromebook, and then when you log in, all of the stuff comes down from cloud, right? Google Cloud Policy Server. You don't have to reset up, right? So there's certain times you're traveling and maybe the device you left it at home, or something goes wrong, and you need it to do a demo, a job, and run something. Log in, everything should pull down just like you would expect it, and then you can get back up and running.
Yeah, actually, I have a funny story on that. Just last week, I was using my Chromebook and I dropped the thing. And it got into some sort of cyclical reboot. So what I did was I took it to our tech stop, got reflashed. So a whole new operating system, didn't have any of my settings. And within 2 minutes, I was up and running because everything is saved in the cloud. All I had to do was pull down my hyperlinks, and then bam, everything is just up and running like normal.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of just Chrome devices in general, right? Get you back up and running in no time. I'm gonna install curl, right? So just typical applications. So to get, I guess, one of the applications that you guys might use pretty often is Google Cloud SDK, right?
Yeah, let's install that.
So I've installed it already, but basically you just do a curl or wget and you get the Google Cloud SDK application. So I got it already here.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go through the setup, but it's pretty straightforward where you just go into the directory, do a sh install, right, and get that going. And so we'll just run some commands, see what works. Right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's do that. So I got some notes here.
Okay.
So here's a few things that we're going to do today, right? So let's see here. We can definitely create some instances. Why don't we do that? Right.
Yep, creating instances is always important. Everyone needs infrastructure as a service. So
we'll create some instances there. While that's up and running, we can log into our console and you should see that instance
actually get spun up.
Yeah, it should just show up right there and then, right? So typically the way I use that, I like the Cloud Shell a whole lot, but I see what you're saying, right? It's nice to have that, Google Cloud SDK locally.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're bringing up hundreds or thousands of VMs or containers or what have you.
Yeah.
So, okay, there we go. So
there we go. There we got the kernel IP and all that set up.
Awesome.
Another thing is SSH. Typically, I use the Cloud Shell, right? I kind of just click on a box and I SSH in there.
Yep, keep it easy.
But how do you do it on a Chromebook, right? So a couple of ways here. So there's an extension called the Google Secure Shell extension for Chrome.
Okay.
So if I've installed that, I can show you guys here. Chrome SSH, Chrome Web Store Secure Shell. I'm just going to show you that that extension. So this is the extension I installed. So you just you can launch it here and get access to your GCP instances as well, right? So boom, I'm on a GCP VM2, same boxes right over here, right? You can click down and drill down in that, but one way is just right through the browser. But can you do it within this Termux environment, right?
That definitely solves a lot of my power user kind of problems. So.
Yeah, it's really easy to set up. That extension installs in seconds, and then really you just have to set up your SSH keys.
Okay.
And that's really straightforward as well. So. And here we have OpenSSH installed on our Termux environment. So we'll just kind of do the same thing. Really quick exercise there. Cool. So now we're there. We can run whatever commands we want. Copy something. Here I'm copying some SSH keys over there, but don't try that.
Playing with fire.
yeah, definitely. But it's just to kind of show you guys. Oops, what am I doing? Let me look at my notes here. I got a few commands I want to show you, but let's see if I got the. Nope, we'll skip. Oh, here it is. We can copy something just using gsutil. Right. So. But all in all, like you can install all these different components, right? kubectl for containers.
Yeah, I see Git too.
Yeah, definitely. You can do a lot there. I know, like you guys as a developer community, the more and more users using this, you guys can contribute, make it better,
Absolutely.
Right? Raise issues and get things fixed. So we just transfer the Cloud SDK package to my Google Cloud Storage directory. So all in all, I think this is a good start, and it's kind of solves some of those kind of 5% gaps.
Yeah.
But also, like, I know you got meetings, and I know you got to interact with different customers. Maybe you also need other. Not everybody uses a particular app that we may want them to use. So check out the Google Play Store, right? Sometimes someone sends you a meeting invite, and they want you to join with their platform.
Yeah.
So Android, there's a slew of apps in there that you can go. I'm not going to kind of identify any particular one, but I think you'll find it nice to have those in your toolkit, so you can join meetings, on a customer's meeting platform. So all in all, we showed two things here today. Termux is a solution where you can do simple things as OpenSSH into a Google Cloud compute instance. You have the whole Google Cloud SDK here at your fingertips locally. You don't have to go to the Cloud Shell if you don't need to. And then with the Chrome browser, you have all these extension applications that one particular one is Secure Shell. So
yeah, beautiful.
Different ways to use it, different ways to get into Google Cloud Platform, making it easier for everyone to learn and practice and deploy.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to jump into your other demo, the end-to-end demo,
Sure.
what do you have to show?
Yeah, so we're thinking, what would be great? We're talking about Google Cloud Platform. We're talking about, compute engine instances, all of this. We would love to kind of package it and show you, something that kind of ties everything together. So we were thinking, it'd be great. Let's use Data Studio, which is got beautiful dashboards, right?
Yeah.
And so what we're going to show is it's actually a nicely detailed in online as well. So we'll send the link afterwards, but essentially you can have all of your billing data and all the usage data, right, provided by Stackdriver, pumped into BigQuery, and then BigQuery can be, data from BigQuery can be visualized using Data Studio.
Yep. I use
and
it
then
all the
we'll,
time.
you'll see it here in a desktop, and what would be nice if you're in an office where a bunch of folks are kind of teaming on the same project to see their usage, right?
Mhm.
So let's see how we can light up this screen here with a Data Studio dashboard powered by Chrome.
Okay, cool.
Right. So it's easy as let me show you. There's just one, one setup that I want to show you is basically like I have it recorded in a video just because I didn't want to show too much of my usage
your usage and billing history.
Essentially,
where's all that egress going?
Yep. So let me go here and let me show you the video. This is about like 2 seconds. It's just really, you go into your billing, right? And then you just want to go to billing export and say, hey, I want to export my billing to BigQuery. And then once you do that, it's going to say, hey, billing export is done. There's a data set or a table in BigQuery that this usage data is going into. And once you do that, that's all you need to do to kind of get that going.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we just go to really Data Studio. That's the next piece. So when you're in Data Studio, one way to get to it is just going straight to the URL datastudio.google.com. For this exercise, we're going to use a sample pre-built report, and we're going to connect it to our own data.
Okay.
So it should take like under 5 minutes. But any questions before we get started, Nick?
Yeah, actually, we do have a couple related questions
Sure.
on the chat. This is more related to the Chrome and Pixelbook, though.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, can't root do commands? I'm assuming that's the question. So on your Chromebook,
Mm-hmm.
are you able to root in and actually run commands as root?
So you have certain access within Termux, right? The thing about Android applications and Chrome, the Chrome stack, right? Initially, when they started working on this, they're both sandbox. There's like walls and built between, right? Just for security, right? So I'm not sure the question is in reference to like what can you do on the Chrome side of things, or what you can do within this Linux environment. So maybe it's a follow up there, but
okay.
Within this containerized kind of Termux applications, you can definitely install apps. I believe there's also sudo, or you have to install it. But I haven't done too much other than just installing the Google Cloud SDK and certain core utilities to kind of get me going.
Okay. Well, that kind of jumps into the next question is, if you're installing Termux and as you install packages, so are these packages stored locally on the Chromebook's hard drive, or are they stored in the cloud?
Right. So those packages are hosted kind of like a package or app management system, similar to like Ubuntu or Debian, right? So there's the repository, open source repository online, and folks in this Termux community are compiling and putting packages out there. But it's pretty nice. I've installed a bunch of packages using pip, Python, and so I think it's just a matter of other folks kind of contributing to that to even make it more of a development platform.
Okay, yeah, and everything that you store on the Chromebook obviously gets copied to the cloud, so you can, like you were saying earlier, if you need to spin up a new Chromebook, then you have everything kind of available.
Right.
So just make sure you store it in the right spot.
Yeah, definitely. And so one thing that's nice is Termux. There's a command you can run. I think it's just storage setup. It's a pretty standard thing when you do Chromebooks that allows you to access a partition on the Chromebook. So like if I had something in my downloads folder, I think that's this is the same downloads folder that's on my Chromebook, right? So I go here and I go to downloads. This is the same directory. So that's kind of nice that you can use both cohesively and access one at least common storage, right? So that's one thing that maybe answers some of the questions, like how do I kind of work seamlessly across and at least have one place to store files, right?
Okay. Yep. Cool. Awesome. Well, you want to jump back into the demo?
So going back to the demo, I think so one thing we can do is, so this public billing report. This is something that's linked on our website, but the first thing you got to do if you want to connect it to your own data set is just make a copy, right?
Yep.
And so when you make the copy, it's going to say, well, point it to your own billing data source, right? So you can see your own billing
within BigQuery.
dashboard.
Yep.
So I can say create new data. I have a couple of I've ran this yesterday with Nick, but I'll just show you guys how you would do it yourself. Create a new data source, and you have a plethora of different data sources and connectors we have. But choosing BigQuery, these are the projects that you have access to. So I can choose one that I do. I have this billing data set that I showed you in that quick video of how do I get billing data exported to a data set.
Yeah.
And that's quick. And then I just choose this particular data set, and then I say connect, right? And that's pretty much it, right? You just add to report. You do the same thing across all of these guys, and
so the same data set.
Same data set, right? And you create this report, right? And it's as easy as that. Now you have your own report connected to your own data set, and the next step is really just like, how do I get this on a dashboard powered by the Chrome device? And so we'll show you how to do that in about 2 or 3 minutes.
This solves a lot of problems because I've actually been in touch with some customers who try to slog through all of the billing output, and it's like a massive PDF file, and no one really wants to look through in thousands and thousands of rows. But being able to aggregate it, build it into a beautiful report, I mean, that's really powerful.
Yeah, so Data Studio is amazing for that, right?
Yeah.
And then it's nice I see a lot of teams at Google, and even when I go to customer sites, they always have dashboards of like their specific project. And this is just one example of showing data. It could be different like builds and deployments going on, and other other interesting numbers. Yeah. But now we just got to make sure that we basically get a URL that we can share. So we take this URL, and now we feed it to the Chrome application. So the nice thing is Chrome has an application. Chrome has a application, Chrome App Builder, right? So this is really lightweight application. You can download it for free. And basically all you do is plug in a URL right here. So I'm going to call it Chrome Data Studio 4. I can change this to just something so you guys can see like the significance of this. Like, I can just show a standard page here. Oops. Right, and then I'll plug in this Data Studio URL. I'm there. And now it's going to render this. It's just a preview of what you need, but this application has all of the code built in. So all you do is export it, and then you're going to upload it to the Chrome Web Store, and you're going to deploy it. So that's the next 2 or 3 steps. But there's a couple of toggles that are provided for users here. You can have kind of controls here, especially if it's a touch screen like that smaller device that we have on the left here. Yep. So you can leave these controls up there. There's idle timeouts, things like that. But all you need to do is plug the URL in and export it into a directory here. So I'm just going to call new folder Chrome. Yeah, that's pretty handy. I mean, you're basically doing the hard work on the back end, and then you're just going to be resurfacing this app as a link to your static content or static web page. So yeah. So just a quick look at what we just exported. Just really basic Chrome application. If you want to look at the manifest, it's really basic code, but there's a couple of things that are specific to kiosks that are in there, and you don't have to know anything to kind of build this. You can get something going pretty quickly, right? And so the next thing is let's just kind of make sure that we can deploy this to the web store, right? Okay. So the one thing you got to do is just make sure it's zipped, right? So we're just going to zip that thing. Cool. And now I'm going to log into the Chrome Web Store and deploy it. So let me show you how to do that. Yeah, this is definitely exciting. Chrome Web Store. So you're going to go to the Chrome Web Store dashboard. Right. Chrome Web Store developer dashboard. I could type, oops. Here, I'm going to log in. Get my verification code. Everyone has to be secure here. Come on. Exactly. If you're not using 2-factor authentication, anyone listening to this, you should be. So within the developer dashboard, I mean, the next step is really just to deploy the application, right? Yep. So I've deployed one already because it takes maybe a few minutes because it has to go through verification, make sure that makes sense. Things are all kosher. But the way you do it is you just add a new item, right? So I'll show you how to do it quickly here. I'm gonna choose that zip file that I just zipped up, right? So it could be, I think it's this one right here.
Okay.
Right. And it's really simple. The next phase is just some key requirements is just for like icons. What's the icon when it's in the web store? So we'll do that now, and then we'll get going. But quick check-in time. We have a few minutes here. I'm just gonna quickly choose the icons, get us going.
Yeah, and while you're going, just a reminder to everyone: make sure you're submitting your comments and questions in the live chat pane. Doesn't look like we have any comments right now, but some positive feedback about the Chromebooks, so that's awesome.
Definitely. So the next few steps is really just to kind of deploy this, choosing the right icons and sizes. Really easy here. I know we have a few minutes, so I'm going to just try to run through this here. Choose this file.
Yeah, nothing special about choosing icons, although I'm sure everyone feels like that's the most important phase of an app.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just finding the right kind of look icon and stuff like that.
How do you grab your audience? I mean, they're going through the Play Store and they see thousands and millions of options.
Right.
So, but of course, this is going to be more internal, so there's nothing specific or no draw to random people.
Let's see here. We got the icons there, I think. Yeah, it looks like it's all good there. We just select the category. I just kind of general category here.
Okay.
I can do private or enlisted, things like that. Just gonna publish this. Hopefully I got all the icons in there.
Make or break time right now.
I'm not too worried because we did this yesterday. So now it's just gonna be I'm gonna return to the dashboard. It's just gonna show you that hey, we're publishing in progress. We have one published yesterday.
Okay.
And really all I need is this application ID. And then I'm just going to deploy this, right? So how to deploy? So I have a few screens up already. I'm going to show you guys. So within Chrome management, there's an interface that you can configure all these things from networks, policies, which applications users get, all of those things. The one thing we're going to do here is just really say, hey, I want to make sure that it boots up this this particular application, right? So I have all these applications that I can choose from, right? So I'm going to choose this Chrome dashboard. I just put the app ID. See, I already added it, so I'm going to just exit out of there. But really quickly here, you have different you can deploy Android apps, you can deploy Chrome apps, things that you build. And so I'm just going to switch it over to, we have a screen here that's powered up. I'm going to switch it over, instead of like some other application that was running earlier, I'm going to switch it to the Chrome dashboard, right? That we just built. So now I saved that. It might take a few seconds for policies and all of that to kind of pick up. One thing that we can try to do to expedite that is to reboot this device remotely. So I have this, it should be good to go. I'm going to reboot it. Hopefully
and maybe we can go back to the video.
We'll let that thing reboot and come back up. But yeah, any more questions, Nick, while we let this thing fire up here?
No more questions on the chat. But actually, I have a question for you while we're waiting for it. And what would so obviously the Pixelbook has come out, and the Pixelbook has been getting some amazing reviews. But what would you say is really the main difference between Pixelbook and Chromebook, and how would you kind of differentiate the two?
Yeah, Pixelbook is definitely like our premium hardware, right? It's got all of the kind of latest and greatest gen stuff and stuff that we probably haven't unlocked yet, right? Greatest thing is that it has different purposes, has the Google Assistant, but there's a line of devices out there for different user types and price points, right? We're heavily focused on the enterprise, so there's going to be a lot of new devices coming out just kind of for that business user that also works on Google Cloud Platform. So look forward to that. I think, Nick, just before we get started, I think the device was off. That's why. So we just got to.
We power it on now.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So
if it's not working, reboot it. That's like the number one rule in IT.
So the nice thing is, like, if it was on, it would have just rebooted correctly and things like that. But yeah, there's tons of devices. My team specifically is just grown so much, right? In this quarter, we have a core group of folks here just specifically focused on enterprise business and Google Cloud, right? Making sure, like, things that you brought up, like as a power user, a developer, like, how do we get those particular apps to work, and how do I use a Chromebook, and get all the security that's built into it, but also do all the things I need to do every day, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely important. I mean, as a Google engineer, our really role is to make customers happy, make users happy. So it's really identifying any of those quote unquote pain points, and then how do we resolve them? So yeah. Let's see, how are we doing?
Yeah,
On
so
the
I'm just gonna
screen?
reboot this guy here, and it should be good to go.
Okay, yeah, because we had to power it on from scratch. So cool.
Cool. I think we're just about time, so this thing should just boot back up, and we'll give it a couple of minutes here. Or a
Yeah.
minute or two.
Any parting thoughts? Any exciting stuff going on?
I'm just excited. I know that I'm happy that we were able to get you one of these because they're pretty elusive. I have a lot of customers, waiting to get this, and I know, you're gonna do pretty good at it. So hopefully, I can get you going here.
Yeah.
You can take this and run with it. We got the dashboard running here. But yeah, hopefully we can probably show. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
show
we
the
can
room.
flip
It to the room,
back to the screen.
But yeah.
I'll get out of the way.
But yeah, so we got the screen up and running. The application's been pushed out there. Yeah, I'm just excited. I think there's so much that we're working on, as to kind of make sure that the Google platform experience on a Chromebook is even better and better. And we have all these developers that are definitely looking to build Android apps that are customized and optimized for Chrome devices. So
yeah,
many more users that can use your applications and just get a lot of new exciting things built.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 0 to 60 and building an application, ingesting the data from Stackdriver, pumping it through BigQuery, and then into Data Studio.
Yep.
There's a lot of power that can be done when you combine GCP with Chrome. So it's exciting stuff. Let me check to see if we have any last moment questions. Otherwise, we are at the mark. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It has been awesome having you here, Andrew.
Oh, man, it's always a pleasure to see you, especially if I can bring gifts, right? Yeah. I know you have, I think you have the HP here, and there's all these other great devices, but I know you've been waiting for this, so I'm just happy. It's like Ellen, right? I mean, I wish I could give everybody
come on.
an Oprah gift, but this is yours.
Cool.
Have fun with it, and then happy holidays, and I'm glad to participate in this, and I know there's going to be many more, right?
Yeah, and remember to subscribe, everyone. So cool. See you next time. Thanks.
Cheers.